Today we're looking at the Statue of Liberty. Hello, welcome to the Daily Bellringer. Please don't forget to subscribe and take a look at the questions down in the description. Also, don't forget to check out dailybellringer.com where you'll find more resources that go with many of the Bellringer videos. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses, yearning to breathe free is the famous quote from author and poet Emma Lazarus, which is on the engraving inside the pedestal that the Statue of Liberty sits upon. This quote, although not added to the monument until the early 1900s, has come to be the embodiment of what the 305-foot statue has come to symbolize. Sitting on Liberty Island in the harbor of New York City, the statue is one of the first things that greeted millions of immigrants that came through Ellis Island on their way to a new life in America. The Statue of Liberty traces its origin to French writer and strong abolitionist Edouard Devoe. It is believed that as the American Civil War was coming to an end in 1865, Devoe conceived the idea as a celebration for America's centennial or 100th birthday coming up in 1876. The statue would celebrate America's freedom and democracy and honor the alliance between France and America during the American Revolution. Devoe soon conveyed his idea to French sculptor Frédéric Auguste Bartholdi, who then came up with the design for a massive statue. In 1871, Bartholdi came to America and was excited to find that Bedloe's Island in New York Harbor was government property and could be a possible location for the statue. Bartholdi traveled across the United States, meeting with prominent leaders to discuss the project, and even met with President Ulysses S. Grant. For the next few years, Bartholdi and Devoe continued to campaign for the project, raising money in France to build the statue. Eventually, the United States and France agreed that if France built the statue, the United States would build and pay for the pedestal that it would sit upon. On March 3, 1877, President Grant's final full day in office, he signed a resolution to accept the statue from the French when it was completed, and then the next day, new President Rutherford B. Hayes designated Bedloe's Island, which would be renamed Liberty Island, as the site for the statue. To raise excitement and to help with raising funds for the project, pieces of the statue were completed and put on display before the full statue was done. The right hand holding the torch was on display at the 1876 Centennial Exposition in Philadelphia celebrating the 100th birthday of the United States. And in Paris, the head was put on display at the 1878 World's Fair. Soon, structural engineer Gustave Eiffel, the famous engineer of the Eiffel Tower, began to work on the project to help devise an internal structure to hold up the massive statue. The statue was sculpted and built in sections in France out of copper that would then be attached to a steel frame that supported it. On June 17, 1885, the Statue of Liberty arrived in New York Harbor, packed in crates, ready to be unpacked and constructed. Only problem was the pedestal was not completed yet. A few months later, in August of 1885, it was announced that the $102,000 needed to build the pedestal had been raised, and the pedestal was completed the following year in April of 1886. Construction of the statue now began, and the statue, officially called the Statue of Liberty Enlightening the World, would be completed and dedicated on October 28, 1886, by President Grover Cleveland. The entire monument stands 305 feet tall, with the pedestal standing 154 feet and the statue itself 151 feet. Originally, when the statue was first constructed, the copper statue was a shiny reddish-brown color. But due to the reaction between copper and water over the years, it has now turned to a bluish-green color. The statue is, of course, of a woman in a robe, which in classical art, liberty was usually represented by a female. The torch in the statue's raised right hand represents enlightening the world with liberty and was originally made of glass that actually had a light inside it. In fact, the statue also served as a lighthouse to ships entering the harbor. But the original flame was replaced in 1986 with a flame covered in 24-karat gold that reflects the sun. The tablet held in the statue's left hand has July 4th, 1776 written in Roman numerals to commemorate American independence. The 7 points on the statue's crown are to represent the 7 continents of the world. The statue faces to the southeast, which is the direction most ships enter New York Harbor. The monument has become the emblem of the nation, recognized worldwide as the embodiment of American freedoms. For over 100 years, the Statue of Liberty has stood as a symbol to the world of the liberty and freedoms offered in the United States of America. So with that, hopefully you learned something, and thanks for watching.